Hey Tafcir, can you hear me?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. How are you
What's up?
doing?
What's up? Yeah, not bad, man. Just yeah, just super hectic, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, so you have so many lights.
Yeah, I know. I'm in this I'm in network school in Singapore, well, Malaysia actually, South Malaysia. It's like this
Okay.
builder house sort of thing. Lots of founders, builders. I'm just upstairs right now. But yeah. Shall
Cool.
I change location?
I'm not sure. Maybe you can just clear the camera a bit, and because now it's like in the blue.
Just better?
Okay.
Yeah. I'll try to
So
move actually. Give me one sec.
yeah.
Does that even does that work? Let me see. Right, I've just literally turned it around. It's like a bar. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure if that's okay.
Okay, that's great. I think it's
Okay.
the best background for today's topic, prediction markets,
Oh, okay.
So I think we can start. Hi everyone, welcome to today's AMA, and we are live with Tafcir. He is a co-founder of Predictefy, the AI-powered trading terminal that aggregates every major prediction market in one place. So first of all, I would love to know that 2026 is a prediction, like is a year when prediction markets will go mainstream. And we already had a lot of different prediction markets on our AMA sessions, but Predictify says enough and like have chosen another way. So Tafsir, explain us in 60 seconds what is Predictify and why do you build it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that breakdown, Danny, actually. So Predictify, we aggregate prediction market data and trading infrastructure for both builders and traders. If you don't understand prediction markets, the best way I can describe it is it's a way to trade on any outcome, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's geopolitics, finance, equity markets. You're able to trade on anything. And on our platform, we aggregate all the different prediction markets, all the major ones as of now. We've got 8 different prediction markets into one terminal. And we deep aggregate all these prediction markets as well, providing you deeper order books, liquidity. And ultimately, if you're a market maker, liquidity provider, or trader, we give you a unified and much better experience than just trading on the single venues, which are all fragmented in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, that's cool. So what is your current stage?
Yeah, so we went live with, so we started building from October. It's a quick breakdown of the story and how we got here. Started building in October, ultimately built an arbitrage bot for ourselves. Me and my co-founders were terrible prediction market traders, funny enough. And we ended up building this arbitrage bot ultimately to be able to make money. We lost a bit of money trading on Polymarket and we're like, look, we gotta make some back. We built this arbitrage bot where we're arbitraging between Polymarket and Kalshi, the two major prediction markets. From there, as we kept building, we started showing it around to a few guys in the network that look, you can arbitrage prediction markets. We were making money from it, and it was a clear case study. I wanted to get some of our friends on it and people that we worked with in the past few years. And every single person we showed it to, they wanted access, they wanted to pay for it, they were going to share their revenue they would make, the profit they would make. And we were like, okay, look, we can't just give this out right now. We thought, let's start being more selective about it and actually, maybe start building this out as a full-fledged product. Because what we built was very basic. It was a basic MVP. So it worked. We still have to place the trades manually, but we'll be able to see the arbitrage, what we should be trading on our dashboard. So we started building it out. We started sharing it out to a few guys in our network, a few top 0.1% Polymarket traders. So guys that are trading millions of dollars on Polymarket, and they loved it, right? They absolutely loved it. And the one thing that sort of came up is we already have cross-matched and aggregated prediction markets. A very difficult thing to do, actually. And what we heard was a few times it was to build out a full-on aggregator where we actually aggregate different prediction markets, not just integrate prediction markets, but match the different markets and underlying venues. So that's what we did. We went live with private beta in December, just 2 days before Christmas. And we went pretty viral, quite lots of interaction from loads of large names in the prediction market industry and crypto industry as well. Got lots of support. We had about 36,000 people on the wait list. We had lots of traction from there. We kept building. We kept opening up access to a few traders, get feedback and improve on what we already had. We went live with public beta around March 23rd. Around March 23rd, we ultimately went out of public beta with 7 different prediction markets. We, at that point, had the most prediction markets integrated, just like we do today, and the deepest order books, deepest liquidity. And it's been a hectic ride, lots of ups and downs. And right now it's been going extremely well. Very exciting past few months.
That sounds really impressive. And since launching the public beta, what have been the biggest user behaviors or insights that surprised you most?
The first thing I would say, it didn't surprise me as much, right? But it's the sports traders. A lot of traders, it's trading sports, right? So if you look at right now on Kalshi, for example, about 80% of the notional volume, right? I might be wrong, but on average, it's about 80, 70% is currently going through sports. That might have dropped since. On Polymarket, it's about 30 to 40%. There's prediction markets that are directly just, building on sports, like Novig, SX Bets. There's a few others as well. And they're doing millions of dollars in volume. So I'll say the amount of traders that trade sports, because a lot of traders have been trading sports. The second thing is, funny enough, kind of contradicts what I just said. But even though these guys do trade a lot of sports, they tend to dive into these very specific markets, right? And it kind of makes sense when you think out loud here. So the first one is geopolitical events. Whenever there's a big geopolitical event, they tend to trade those markets as well and stay away from sports or trade both. And the third one is when they trade, the crypto up and down markets, right? A lot of the sports traders, they also trade crypto. I think it correlates very specifically for our terminal, just because a lot of our users are actually, what we've seen anyway on X, no way to verify exactly, but they actually also gamble on like other sports books and casinos as well. So on crypto sports books, we just see their retweets and followers, and we sort of got an idea that, look, some of these traders that are trading sports and the crypto up and down markets, they're also actively gambling on sports books and casinos, which is sort of an interesting intake.
So basically, like the old positioning that it was created for prediction, real world events, politics, etc., like is less popular than just sports and betting. So we see that prediction market transforms into sports book, and many governments now prohibited them because they are pure gambling platforms. And you just like confirm that. Okay, so let's go straight into the hard questions. First of all, we clearly see that Polymarket and Kalshi are top 2 leaders in the space. They have the difference between them and third place. I think it was Predict.fun. Maybe something has changed recently, but anyway, the difference in volumes was more than 30 times. So why build an aggregator instead of I don't know, just another prediction market? Or if we see that there are only 2 big players, why do we need aggregator at all? And what features do you have that big players cannot copy tomorrow?
Absolutely. So the first answer to the first question, great questions, by the way, Danny. The first answer is, look, I think the third place right now is actually Limitless. These guys have been smashing it. $600 million in notional volume just last week alone. They're growing super fast. So shout out to Limitless. Now, in terms of the actual why just not build another prediction market, I mean, look, yes, you could have built another prediction market, but how much more different would it be to what Polymarket, Kalshi, Predictefy, Limitless already has? You look at the new prediction markets launching, they start slowing down now because there's so many. It's that they're actually very, very similar. One thing that Limitless did very differently and that really helped them scale, I feel like, is having loads of different, very specific markets, right? On like the Asian market, Chinese market, South Korean markets, very specific markets that tapped into demographics that might have not been as included on Polymarket, Kalshi, and so on. They did a great job of that. Now, why build an aggregator? Now, ultimately, you actually have an aggregator. If you look at any industry, right, even hotels, you've got like Expedia. If you look at crypto, you've got plenty of aggregators. When you look at other equity markets, you've got, aggregators of also you've got the Bloomberg Terminal. I mean, the list goes on, right? There's aggregator in ultimately in any other industry, right? But especially when it comes to like crypto and equity markets and finance, and ultimately prediction markets have become real financial markets. As of last year, they're real CFTC regulated markets, and they're going to need real CFTC regulated infrastructure, right? Real financial infrastructure, right? And look, if you're going to go ahead and trade on Polymarket, you have to deposit, then you have to, if you want to trade another market that's not available on Polymarket, or is better priced somewhere else, right? On, let's say, Limitless, you would have to deposit there, leave your trade. You would have to sell it, extra fees, withdraw, more fees, deposit into Limitless, more fees, right? And trade there. Again, you're paying more fees there. So an aggregator is an absolute no-brainer. Like it's just that you would need an aggregator. And number two, sorry, I completely forgot your question, Daniel, on the second one. Just kept baffling on the first.
Yeah, I think you answered everything, and it absolutely makes sense. I love your comparison with Expedia and Booking in hotel industry, but of course we have in crypto as well, like 1inch or Jupiter or some
Yeah.
other aggregators on perpetual DEX. We also have liquid, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that makes sense. And another question to you, like the title of this AMA is navigating prediction markets with AI. So can you walk us through exactly how your AI works?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is that AI is not live yet. We had it live in beta, and it's called AI predictor grade, right? Now, what AI right and gives you one actionable number on how strong a trade would be for a certain prediction. So, quick example, let's say Donald Trump to win the elections, right? A very basic market, Donald Trump to win the elections in 2026. Just a random example. Now, if you're going to go ahead and trade on this market blindly without much insight, you'd go and check the news articles, you check X, you check the sentiment, you might go check a few, a few blogs and whatnot, check the news on what's happening. But again, you wouldn't really get a good understanding on what the overall sentiment is, right? You'd have a basic understanding, but not a real actionable insight on whether is this a good trade or it isn't, right? What the predictor grade does, it aggregates all of these data endpoints. We're looking at, total trading volume the last 24 hours, how many smart traders have been trading this specific market, how many whales have traded specific market, how many times has this exact market been mentioned in the news in the last 24 hours, for example, right? Usually it's actually based on like 7 days to 24 hours. But so you get the idea. It gives you one actionable insight on how strong of a trade that market is. 0 to 20 being a strong sell, 20 to 40 being a sell, 40 to 60 being a neutral trade, 60 to 80 being a buy, and 80 to 100 being a strong buy. So it very breaks it down for a beginner that ultimately has experience trading, but no experience with prediction markets to come in here and get understanding on how good of a trade a certain market is.
That's a really useful tool. It's not like AI trading solution, but it helps users to work with a lot of data and see the whole picture. So I definitely love it. And I have another question to you. So of course, even on big prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket, we see a lot of illiquid markets. And you aggregate some markets that have thin liquidity, especially like on lower tier platforms, let's say. So with leverage trading coming, or is it already launched basically? How do you protect users from manipulation and bad fails?
So can you hear me? I think it was cutting out a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so great question. So right now, when it comes to leverage and derivatives in prediction markets, it's actually extremely difficult to execute, right? For any builder out there. There's been a few incredible builders. I mean, there's a few that have done an amazing job, and they're able to provide up to 10x leverage, and that's just on Polymarket alone, right? The reason being, ultimately, leverage to building out leverage and derivatives is actually not that difficult. But how do you build out safe leverage for both builders, right? So, sorry, LPs and traders. How can you build out safe leverage for both sides? That's the big question. And we have been able to solve it. It's something that we haven't even announced yet. It's not out anywhere. It's yet to be, no one has done this in the market yet, but it's actually quite a basic, you're looking at it as a basic concept. And what it is you aggregate, what we do is we aggregate different markets, right? Or based on the different underlying venues. So the same market, same event, right? The different venues have that market. Now, ultimately, if let's say the World Cup 2026 winner market, right? If you go and trade on Polymarket and provide leverage, you'd be able to do it quite easily because the order books are quite deep. The depth is there in the order books. There's not as many price jumps, right? So when it comes to market manipulation, it's a lot harder to do. If you're trading on crypto, the order books are the depth is there, right? The order book is very, very deep. Okay. And I'm going to get to my point in a second because this will really lead up to it. In crypto is there, you got the order book depth. To manipulate the prices in crypto, it's a lot easier. Sorry, it's a lot harder, right? Because you're dealing with millions and billions of dollars. With prediction markets, you could go from 63 cents for yes to 70 cents in yes, right? With like $100 buys in some markets, they're so illiquid, like you said. But however, with some specific markets, because they're deep enough, you can provide, up to 10x leverage, sometimes a bit higher for Polymarket and a few other PMs as well. And what we've done is we cross aggregate all these markets based on the underlying venues, right? And what we have ultimately is a cross aggregate order book for the same market across 8 different prediction markets, which ultimately gives us the deepest order books in the market, right? Right now, as we speak, we have the deepest order books in the market, deepest liquidity compared to any other venue, which allows us ultimately to be able to provide much safer leverage, right? And keep both LPs and traders safe from any market manipulation. Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, that's basically why we need aggregation, because when we aggregate liquidity on such a fragmented markets, we get the better layer of execution for users. But here's a question. So am I correct that you can split the user order between different platforms if we have, let's say, the same market?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's ultimately a fulfilling kill order, right? So if you're going to be going ahead and trading on, through a filling kill order, you would have to pay additional fees, right? You have to pay a fee
Yeah.
for one of the prediction markets, which is the one, key problem with this model that we built. But if you're trading with 10x leverage, right, it's sort of or 20x leverage, you're ultimately sort of canceling out the fees. You're getting a lot more out of your money ultimately.
I'm here, here I have a question. So let's say we have the similar market, so you can aggregate it basically as the one market. You can split orders, like split order users order into different platforms. But then, like for example, rules for the outcome like a bit different, and it happens that like on Kalshi, it results as yes. On Polymarket, it results as no. How you can manage that?
So that is what a very key problem, right? So if you go on our platform, we actually show you the resolution rules, resolution dates, right? Now, if that ends up happening, ultimately you would be getting your profits, right, based on the yes outcomes, and then on your no outcomes, you would lose your money because ultimately you would have lost the trade based on the underlying venue's decision. So it's again, it's a very tricky, right, sort of market, but there's lots of markets where ultimately you can't really go with a yes and no. And for example, the World Cup winner 2026, you can't really have a wrong so yes or no between Polymarket and Kalshi. If Spain wins the World Cup, right? I don't think they will, but if they end up winning the World Cup, right, they're kind of the favorites. You can't really have a different decision on the different prediction markets. It's like a stamp. Like Spain has won the World Cup. It can't go wrong between prediction markets. There is quite a few markets like this where, it's not really volatile on the decision. There's a few, I mean, in special occasions, there's been quite a lot of backlash from traders, and I feel with them, it's kind of messed up. The resolution rules definitely lots of work in a few prediction markets, but it's an emerging market. There's quite a few sort of markets which, if we did end up providing leverage for, which we definitely want, is you would face sort of these problems where you would get partial amount of your profits and then you would lose a lot of your money as well. So it's again, that's a very risk. It's a risk, very risk on there. But again, we'll provide it for most markets that we can, not all. Like it'll be impossible to provide it for all, or like even 50%. It'll be a lot less than 50% of the markets. But one thing I can say is that we'll be able to provide more leverage markets, derivative markets compared to any other venue, just because of our model, right? Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So, like on clean markets, it works. On other markets, it's still like you can notify user and they can make decisions. I'm not sure how you can like manage better this. Maybe like AI also can help better understand for users what's going on. Okay, so another question regarding prediction markets, of course, it's regulation. And we see that recently they are getting heavily regulated. Unfortunately, like I live in Brazil, I used Polymarket a lot, and like a couple of weeks ago, it was banned like in many European countries. In the United States, I know it doesn't work as well. Recent cases and statistics, I even published a post on my LinkedIn and X about that. Shows us that like let me check the number. So 84% of all Polymarket users lost their money. On Kalshi, retail bettors lost 117 millions in the first 4 months of 2026, and for every 100 wagered, they kept only 85%. And even worse, like out of 2.5 million wallets, only 840 wallets have ever made more than $1,000. That's 0.03%. So the profit chance even less than in like casinos. Let's be honest. So after this statistic was published, we saw that like some lawsuit action against Kalshi. And like, so you are between London and Malaysia. I know that in Malaysia it's also banned, or like at least it's a gray zone. So how are you navigating this? Because you are not pure prediction market, you're an aggregator platform. So how does it work in your case?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. So being an aggregator, right, does keep us safe from a lot of laws that are the prediction markets are batting against. So Polymarket, Kalshi, these guys are doing an amazing job, right? Ultimately, prediction markets wouldn't be where they are today. We wouldn't be here today if they didn't go all the way and battle out for prediction markets in the court of law. Now, the CFTC ultimately, they've become CFTC regulated markets, and the CFTC, I believe, as of last week, they have eased down as well. I believe it was a big announcement about 2 days back. They've eased down on regulation and have been a lot more open in reporting for prediction markets. More specifically, we're actually registered in the US, right? We're based in Delaware. Even though most of our team is actually based down in Malaysia, right, and down in Asia, it's our company's registered. We're following US law. It's yeah. So in Malaysia, it's actually a gray area. You're allowed to trade it. There is no active law that's banning it. However, just in fact, 20 minutes from it, where I am now, we're at Singapore. And in Singapore, it's illegal, right? Then you go to Hong Kong and it's like prominent. So many traders, so many whales are trading on Polymarket from Hong Kong. And then you go up in China and it's banned. So the way we're doing it right now, to be frank with you, it's we're following what Polymarket, Kalshi, and the prediction markets ultimately are leading in. And right now, they're CFTC regulated markets. You can trade them legally on the US. We still haven't opened up to the US yet. For Kalshi, for example, you got complete KYC. Then you can trade on a few different jurisdictions. On Polymarket, same. We'll be introducing Polymarket SDK, US SDK. So US users will be able to trade on Predictefy. But as of now, I mean, ourselves, you can go read our terms of service and privacy policy to get a better understanding if you really want to, right? Anyone that is watching. But really, I don't do much as we are really just an aggregator. A lot of the work is being done by the underlying venue.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds great. So you basically follow the rules that are made by like initial platforms, and now you also like disclose it on your politics. That's great. So let's come back to what happened on our demo day. So you in April you told us you had around 5,000 users and more than 700 active traders. So 1 month later, what are the real numbers today? How much volume are you seeing? What's your current revenue from subscriptions? And by the way, what is your business model? How you earn money?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't dive too much into the business model as of yet because we do have a sort of a unique sort of approach on what's coming up, right? In terms of like stats, I'll reveal as much as I can. So we have about over 10,000 users now. There's 11,000 as of this morning that have like engaged with the platform. In terms of like active traders, it's about 1,300, 1,002 to 1.3K. In terms of volume, we've seen massive growth, like in terms of volume. Like I was surprised on how much volume we were seeing, in a few days, especially on the days there was football matches. So any Americans watching soccer matches, we're seeing lots of volumes on those days. We've just surpassed. I think it's going rapid. The other day was like just under like 8 million, so like it's going quite fast, right? Notional volume that is, and I believe it's potentially even gone past 10 million now. I might be wrong. I'll have to check, right? But it's going fast, especially on the days we're seeing soccer matches. It's like we're averaging 500 to $1 million notional volume on those days alone, right? Like on like one of the games, I believe it was a Champions League match. So we saw a lot of volume coming onto that day. And what happened was after the Champions League match, a lot of the traders stayed along and sort of traded the other markets as well, the crypto markets and whatnot. And yeah, in terms of like the most positive, I would say, stat, even though these are incredible stats, right, in the market right now, it's like it's incredible how fast we've grown in public beta. The one stat that really stood out to me, and again, this might not be 100% accurate as it's changing all the time. We have about 1 month and a half in public beta, but it's the return rate, right? The retention of the users coming back now, right? It's like we're looking at about 30 to 40%, right? On a weekly basis. Users are coming back onto the platform after trading, right? So after they trade on the platform, these guys, the traders, they're actually, coming back to trade, which is the most positive, right? Sort of metric to look at as it shows that, look, the traders, the users that are coming onto a platform, they actually enjoy using the platform, right? And the crazy part is we're so far from where we want to be. We keep getting lots of feedback on Telegram, right? On you should be changing this, move this there, remove this. And we get amazing feedback and we realize that, okay, we've got lots of things wrong in private beta. We should have got lots more sort of deeper feedback from more traders instead of listening to like smaller pool of traders, right? And yeah, we're seeing that sort of reflect on the metrics, right, on the retention rate. So it's been kind of an explosive month. And definitely the soccer matches, soccer posts have really sort of helped. But a few sort of viral posts on soccer. I think one got like 500,000 impressions, right? That really sort of catapulted the user count and volume. But yeah, it's been sort of an explosive month to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds impressive, especially retention. I love that you have so. And like my personal question, because I have algorithms that traded on Polymarket. So what about your API SDK for developers? Are you friendly for trading bots? Like, how do you work with this kind of like professional trading guys? I'd love to explore this opportunity as well.
No, 100%. You know what's funny, Danny? This is actually one of the most requested like DMs, right? So usually when someone comes on Telegram, a community manager gets like messages, right? And the most common message that we've been seeing this past month, right, is do you guys have an API? And we'll ask, yeah, sure. I mean, what would this API be used for? And that is, building a trading bot, arbitrage bot, right? Yeah, so we're like, it's one of the most requested things actually, more than any other feature, is the API, right? Now, the way we sort of we're working towards it is we're going to be launching an API and SDK back around in Q4. So it's a while, while from now. It's quite a while. Now, what happened was we got a lot of interest from like a few dexes and lots of large builders for our API and SDK, right? And at that point, we realized that, okay, maybe we want to expedite what we already have, right? And just push our API and SDK a lot earlier than we sort of planned to. So it's something we've got to figure out, to be frank with you. But I believe this month, we're going to start testing it out with a few traders, right? Give them access. The guys that have requested early on, including yourself, Dan. If you want to try it out, if you want the API access, we'll be the first ones to get it. But
Yeah,
I
I'd
think,
love to.
yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think one of the things that people really, would want to use the API for is the market strategies, right?
Yeah.
Because you can, yeah, the cross market strategies was very, very unique to us and what we have. So I think that's the most likely sort of use case that we're going to see, and market making as well. I feel like there's going to be market makers coming on board, right? There's already a few, right? They're working with Polymarket and a few other PMs. But I think maybe we can sort of move a lot faster with this. It's just that the thing is, our team, we're not the biggest team, right? We're 8 people at Predictefy, right? And if we're going to start working on the API and SDK, that would mean slowing work down on a trading terminal on a B2C side. And if we start doing that, right, it might start hurting our performance on the B2C side. And it's an extremely competitive market. There's so many trading terminals, and so many of them are doing an amazing job, right? So if we feel like, if my biggest concern and my co-founder's concern is, if we start focusing now on building the API and SDK, right, it might hurt our performance on the trading terminal. We're pushing out features every 2 days, every 3 days. There's something new that traders have been asking for that we're pushing out. We just launched hit 4 markets last week, hyperliquid markets. So it's like, shall we push API and SDK now, right?
Mhm.
Or shall we keep developing further and keep pushing new features? If we were going to launch API and SDK now, we're missing out on some amazing prediction markets, right?
Mhm.
Like some names like SXBet, these guys have the best sports prices for sports markets. We could have API SDK now. We're missing out on these guys. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like we're going to launch it on the right sort of time with the best value. It'll be worth the wait. It'll be worth the wait for sure.
Yeah, like basically it depends because with API Live you will get professional traders and your volumes will grow much faster because if you check Polymarket statistics, I'm not sure about exact numbers, but I saw something around 80% now is traded by algorithms and only 20% by manual traders. So definitely that's a thing that can make you money. So. Yeah, we have by the way a lot of questions from the community on X. Let's go through them. So first of all, what's the top real-time advantage users get right now, like mispricings or AI scores?
Mispricings without doubt, right? So the AI scores is currently still in beta.
Mhm.
It's not where we want it to be yet. Lots of data endpoints to add. The goal is to have about 20 to 40 different data endpoints to make it as accurate as possible. Now there's less than 5, right? So when we last time I checked, it was about 4. So it's very basic. And yes, currently in beta, only a few traders are trading around and messing around with it. It's not live on a public platform. Now, when it comes to the mispricings, it's going to be, if you want to get an edge in prediction markets, there's a few ways you can do it. One of the ways is ultimately being able to see all the different prediction markets, all the different order books, and the recent trades in one single screen. And you can do that on Predictefy, right? You can find mispricings on all sorts of markets. And some of the spread in these markets is kind of insane. They sort of go from like a 5 cent spread, with some markets even having a 10-20% spread across venues, right? Which is insane.
Yeah, that's that's true. That's insane. So the second question from the community: how does your AI grade markets? How it found opportunities humans missed?
So, sorry, you said how does the AI grade the markets?
Yeah, grade markets and how it found opportunities humans missed.
Yeah, so when it actually, so right now there's no way, it's in beta. If anyone wants access, make sure to join a Telegram, send us a message, we'll give you access to it. It's currently in beta. Now, when it comes to the actual, we don't give you the opportunities, which is something we want to do later down the line, right? So you've actually got to go ahead and actually search the different markets, click on the markets, then you're able to see an AI predicted grade score, right? Now, right now it's based on the 24-hour total volume change, right? Traders and the P&L that are trading that market, right? And ultimately the pool of traders that are coming in and trading. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, the final one is the based on price change, 24-hour price change, right? So we look at the percentage change. And to be frank with you, some of these markets are super volatile, right? Because of the spread and how illiquid they are. So I'll be very careful, which is why it's in beta. So don't just look at the predictor grade. For some deep order book markets and liquid markets, you can use it and use it to your advantage and have an edge. But for some of these smaller, very illiquid markets, it'll be very inaccurate, which is why it's currently in beta.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's mainly useful right now on deeper and more liquid markets. So yeah, the next question: what's the biggest challenge and the most exciting update coming?
The biggest challenge to date, honestly, it's I mean, honestly, there's so many challenges. You face challenges every few days. Do you know what I mean? You just gotta find a solution as soon as possible as a team, And I would say oh, it's just making sure that we stay ahead, really, right? It's not really a challenge, but like you feel sometimes, that you would have this feature, that feature, and I'm the non-technical founder. You got founding engineers, they're just sat there actually just building. They're looking at me, but like, do you know what I mean? Like I would tell them, oh, can we get this up by this certain day? And they'd be like, they look at me like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy nuts, Like, obviously, it's not like possible. Do you know what I mean? The biggest challenge is, sort of communicating the sort of upcoming features that we want, right? There's so much we want as a team to build out, but we're very sort of limited, right? Because we're a team of 8, right? And even though it's a quite big team for a startup, we, always strive to move as fast as possible. Like some our engineers are absolutely amazing, right? These guys, we've done such an incredible job to stay ahead with all the features that we have because of them. And yeah, again, the biggest challenge I'd say, again, I'm not sure how much of a challenge it is, but it's being fast and making sure that everything is amazing, in terms of the features we push out. In terms of the what was the biggest update? There's a big one. There's a huge update actually. It's the World Cup, right? The World Cup's coming up. I won't say anything right now, but it's a huge announcement. I think Danny, I'll let you know on Telegram soon, but it's gonna be a very, very exciting announcement. And it's the biggest sporting event in history, right? Only comes out once every 4 years. The most of the world is going to be watching, billions of people, and we got a massive announcement for that. And we also got a trading contest coming out soon. So if any of our active traders watching, anyone that's trading prediction markets, you're able to access a prize pool. I want to name our partner for it, but it's going to be super exciting. And yeah.
Look forward to. And yeah, absolutely agree with you that like the speed of development, especially when you have a team of like 8, and you need to prioritize everything that can be challenged. Okay, so the next question from the community we have, where will prediction markets grow most next, and how is Predictefy ready?
So the question was, where will prediction markets be in the future?
Where will prediction market grow most next? I think like in the, so you mentioned sports, but what is the next, let's say, gold mine?
I think honestly, guys, have a look at the crypto, right? Crypto, weather markets are incredible. If you're not trading weather markets, start looking into it because you want to trade markets that you can actually have an edge in. And for weather, you can have an edge, right? You can track data for that and sort of look at different weather data and actually, find an edge. We'll be having a weather up and down sort of market that we saw building soon. But ultimately, when it comes to the weather markets, you can get some serious edge on that. And the next one, I would say crypto, if I mentioned already, and the stocks as well. There's a few sort of stock markets. I would say the pre-TGE markets more than anything. So the thing is, they don't come around often, but when they do, you've got lots of opportunity with pre-TGE markets on, Predictefy and Polymarket.
Yeah, exactly. The only problem is that they are pretty manipulative. But anyway, sometimes like you, at least you can like imagine the possible range and like the tails, you can like skip them and get some, let's say, 80 cents from $1. And like you get 20 cents for one day, like 2 days of holding. That's great. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. As for weather market, like I read a lot of posts on X about that, like people do that. I didn't dive deeper, and I heard the story when the guy in Paris hit the thermometer just to like manipulate the market.
Hilarious,
But yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, cool. So wow, we are already 40, like more than 40 minutes in live. And now we have our rapid fire session. So short questions, short answers. The first one, as usual, like what is the biggest misconception about prediction markets in 2026?
That it's gambling. Yeah, it's gambling.
It is.
It takes a long time. I don't know how long we should. I mean, look, I mean, any the way I see it, prediction markets can be seen as gambling if you want it to be like gambling. It can be seen as trading if you treat it like serious trading. If you use data and the right, trading tools and analytics, it can be treated as trading. And if you're sort of just going in there mindlessly, equity markets, crypto, sports, and prediction markets can be seen as gambling.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Despite the most people trade sports book, as we already discussed, it still has a lot of markets related to financial markets, to the weather, etc. That businesses actually can use for hedge, or traders can use for hedge their positions on the stock market and commodity market. So yeah, I'm totally agree with you here that of course there is a gambling part, but it also provides you great tools if you know how to use it. Okay, so the second question, one metric you will obsess over after the next major update.
One metric.
Yeah.
One metric. Do you mean metric, internal metric, like
Like, yeah,
volume?
product metric, internal metric.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's which markets traders are trading the most, right? I think this
Mhm.
is like there's so many new markets coming out, very interesting markets, right? And also how well the traffic converts to that market. I think that's one thing we'll sort of track very closely. I do think the
Mhm.
biggest moat for any team, I don't want to make this long, I know it's rapid fire, but sort of any biggest moat for any builder, any company is going to be your marketing and distribution. And that really comes down to your data. We know this, we've done it for so many years. And if we can really nail down our CAC, our LCV as soon as possible, right? And see which distribution channels are working the most and which market channels are working the most, that's going to be the most important part for us and really for any company, especially B2C, a consumer product.
That's cool. And you mentioned many interesting markets coming. Like, can you name them and give us some examples?
It would be a bit hard. I can't really predict the future, right? But I'm sure there's going to be lots of. I mean, you just seen the hantavirus markets. I mean, like being everywhere. I keep seeing on the front page, like you know what I mean. So that's what I mean. I'm expecting lots of interesting markets coming out, but yeah, I can't predict the future. I wish I could. I'll be,
Oh
I'll
my
be
God.
bloody.
I'm afraid of such markets because unfortunately, we saw a lot of market manipulations, even in, let's say, topics that I think not ethical to trade at all, like death of some politicians, or like will country invade another country. And like when politicians made bets and then do that, like just to make them that bets make them profit, that's a bit crazy. So yeah, such kind of markets and manipulation on the world politics, I think that's not something that it was developed to. But okay, if Polymarket offered to acquire you tomorrow, what's your number?
Sorry, what was the question?
If Polymarket offered you to acquire, like to acquire you tomorrow, what is your number?
My net worth? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Number. Like if
Oh,
they want to acquire
no, no,
you,
no. It would be a
how
no. It
much?
would be a no. It would be a
No,
no. We wouldn't.
any
There's no
money,
number.
like
Nah, the thing, I
100
mean,
millions.
nah, I don't. Honestly, it's hard, man. It's a hard question just because it's we got so many plans. There's so many
Yeah.
plans that we want to push out. You know, when we started building Predictify, it was a goal for like we got plans years down the line of what we want to do with Predictify. You know, and yeah, I don't think tomorrow is too soon. If it's next year, you know, something we can think about, but not tomorrow. Even if it's a billion, I
Okay.
don't think, you know, it's sell Predictify. No way. Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know. Let's see. You know.
You know, when I hear such answers, I love it. I think when you build something, not just for easy exit and easy money, it's the best. Like when you really have the soul in your project and you have the vision, I think such projects have much more chances to success than just like if you tell me right now, okay, like 50 million and I sell it tomorrow. That's not something I want to hear. The next question is, what is the hardest thing you've built so far?
The hottest thing before Predictify?
I think like within the frame of this project.
Ooh, the hottest thing. Honestly, I think my team will hate me for saying this, honestly. But I'm gonna say Hyperliquid, just the hip 4 market, just because we did it so fast, right? I mean, shout out to Hyperliquid and Julian. They've been super supportive with the integration and you know while we're building this out. But it's I think the hip 4 markets because we were so fast to it and we pushed it out really fast. And yeah,
Mhm.
it was very and it also was very recent. So I would say that. And yeah, I'll say the hit four markets.
Okay, that's interesting. And what is your final advice to anyone that who trying to build in the prediction market space right now?
Advice, honestly, it's you know, talk to the users. Like I think we could have been so much further ahead and sort of being a lot more accurate on what we're building if we took as much feedback from the users. You know, if you're work on your workday, right, have specific amount of hours where you set out to message your users. I mean, you got that data, you know, the email, you know, the X. A lot of them are probably in your Telegram or you already have them on your XDMs. They're requesting you to DM you. Talk to them
Mhm.
and you know, try to get their feedback. It's a lot harder than you can imagine because the users, you know, they don't want to get on a call with you. They don't want to always, you know, be talking to you just because they're using your platform, which is what I realized. There was a lot of back and forth to get feedback for us. So find a way to, you know, get feedback. Yeah, so like in a sort of a good structure to get feedback. We've been able
Mhm.
to get there recently, right? It's sort of building relationship with them. But over time, you build a relationship with your users and you want to get as much feedback from them as possible and reward them as well in any way, right? That you can imagine.
Fair, but on one of the latest AMA, we also discussed that, and I can add that user feedback is really important, but you also should have your own vision because, like, it's a clear example on the internet. You can Google it easily. Like, if Apple hear all feedback from users, we'll never have an iPhone. Like, it will be something crazy, you know? So yeah, like feedback is important, but also important to have your own vision. Uh, but it should be somehow like targeted to what really your audience need, because you know sometimes people create like a lot of features, really complex product, but people just need like one simple solution and that's it. So here, like you need to find a good balance. Okay, well, maybe you want to add something in the end.
Honestly, it's thank you for having me, Danny. If any of you guys are trading prediction markets, or if you haven't and you want to, I mean, go predictify.com. Check us out on Twitter at Predictify. If you're trading sports, if you're going to be trading the World Cup, just keep an eye on our socials. In about 2 weeks' time, we've got a massive announcement, and yeah, it's exciting. Again, guys, follow EasyMM, follow Predictify. Thank you for your support. And yeah, shout out to Danny and the guys from EasyMM as well. They're smashing it. Really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, that's what's my quote as well. So, Tafsir, thank you. It was a really great, Amy, and I love it so much. I love your energy. I love what you built. I'm looking forward to get APIs and any features that you have. Like I will try maybe today your platform because I trade a lot Polymarket, and you provide like better access to all the markets. Like manually integrate different APIs. It's also a tough task. So I would love to check how you guys made it. And yeah, like follow us, follow Tafsir, follow Predictefy, and look forward to new announcements. And like next week, we will also run new AMA sessions. So thanks, guys, for watching us. Follow us and see you soon. Have a great Friday and weekend. Bye bye.